Hello students, welcome back to music class in my living room. Today we are going to talk about dynamics, and if you remember what dynamics are, we've talked about them a little bit in class. Dynamics are loud and soft in music. So we use words like piano to describe soft, playing or singing quietly and softly, and forte for singing and playing very loudly in music. So we have dynamics that are in between those as well, and dynamics that are outside of them. So there is pianissimo to describe very quiet music, and there's mezzo piano to describe medium piano music. So there's pianissimo for very quiet, piano for just regular quiet, and mezzo piano for medium quiet. Like it's not too quiet, but not quite loud enough to be forte. Then for forte, we have the same thing. We have forte for loud, fortissimo for very loud, and then there's mezzo forte for medium loud. So we're going to be looking at how we can apply that in music and what these things look like when we write them on a piece of paper. So grab a piece of paper, actually 2 pieces of paper, and a pencil. All right, so since Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is a really easy song for us to sing, we will use this as an example. And I'm going to write in some dynamics since there aren't any dynamics written in here already. So we'll start out with something simple like just piano. It's just a P for piano, and forte, an F. So if you are looking at music and you see a P, that means you are supposed to sing or play the music quietly, or piano. If you see an F, that means to play or sing the music loudly. So if you see a P in the music, it'll be piano all the way until you see a different dynamic marking. So this will be piano all the way up until we get to forte. And then this will be forte for the rest of the song unless we see another dynamic marking. Like maybe we have a mezzo piano right here. So all of this will be forte until we see MP for mezzo piano. Then all of that would be mezzo piano until we see maybe here there will be a PP, and that stands for pianissimo, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because there's not 2 P's in that word. But 2 P's is just double P. Just think of it as double P's, double quiet, double pianissimo. And then that would be double pianissimo until we get to another dynamic marking. So we'll put mezzo forte there. So if we were to sing this with these dynamic markings, it would go maybe something like this. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So I did my best in that song to try to sing this quietly, this loudly, and then this one quieter than the one up here, and this one just a little bit louder than this one here, and this one just a little bit quieter than this one up here. Now that sounds pretty jolting or random to go from singing very quietly to suddenly forte. We probably wouldn't usually do that in music sometimes, but Usually you might see if we're going from one dynamic to another dynamic, especially when they're pretty different, then we might see something that looks like this. This sign is called a crescendo. And that is spelt like this, crescendo. Sometimes you'll see that just written as C-R-E-S-C and a dot. And that's just crescendo for short. So if we see this kind of arrow, or maybe it's like an alligator mouth getting bigger, so we want to think of the small part of the crescendo as the quieter part, and the more open part of the crescendo as the louder part. So it would sound more like this. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. So it gets gradually louder instead of just suddenly loud. So now you have all of those different dynamics in between. So going from mezzo or from piano, maybe thinking of this part as mezzo piano and this part as mezzo forte, and then all the way up to forte. The other thing we could do is put a marking that looks like this, and that is a decrescendo. And if you guess what that does, what do you think the decrescendo does? If you think that it makes the music get quieter, gradually quieter, you are correct. So let's put a P right above this note right here, and we will decrescendo to a piano. So thinking of this as forte, and then going to mezzo forte, and then mezzo piano, and then down to piano. So let's sing this top line with our piano, crescendo, forte, decrescendo, down to piano. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. That is what a crescendo and a decrescendo would sound like in music. Now with your own piece of paper, we're going to draw a big crescendo. And we're gonna write down all of the different dynamics along our crescendo. So we're gonna start with the smallest one we know, or the quietest, and that's pianissimo. So we're gonna write our double P's there. And then the next quietest dynamic is a piano. And then after that, it gets a little bit louder. That's a mezzo piano. And then it gets a little bit louder after a mezzo piano to a mezzo forte. And then a little bit louder from a mezzo forte to just a regular forte. And then at the end here, it will be the loudest, and that'll be a double forte, so fortissimo. So I'm gonna write those words underneath so we remember what they are. Pianissimo. This one is just plain old piano. This one is mezzo piano. This one is mezzo forte, and this one is just regular forte, and this one is fortissimo. pianissimo. All right. So now I want you guys to think of some things that are super, super quiet. So pianissimo. So one thing that I can think of that's pianissimo would be a bumblebee. So a bumblebee makes a little bit of noise, but it's very quiet noise. Bumblebee. Something just a little bit louder, that would be piano, just a regular quiet noise. I am thinking a cat purring, so a cat purr. And mezzo piano, so a little bit quiet, but not too quiet. I think a bird chirping. Bird chirp. That would be a medium quiet noise. Now, let's see. A medium forte noise could be maybe someone whistling. And a forte noise, maybe a dog barking. And fortissimo, maybe that would be like a train. All right. Now that we've thought of something for each of these, and I want you to, if you can think of your own, that would be cool. I want you to draw a picture that has some of these different dynamics in them. So I'm going to draw maybe a picture that has a bumblebee and a cat purring and a bird chirping and all of these things in the picture. And we'll see what we come up with. So I'm going to draw that picture and I'm going to write the dynamic next to each of those things in the picture. All right, so here I am back and I've drawn a picture and it is kind of silly looking, but you guys get the idea. So I have my bumblebee over here buzzing, and that is a very quiet noise. So I put a PP there for pianissimo, double piano. And then you have a cat here purring, P for piano, quiet. I have my bird up here, mezzo piano for medium quiet, it's tweeting. And then there's a mezzo forte, there's a girl here whistling, and that's a mezzo forte for medium loud. And over here we have a dog barking, woof, and that's forte, so that one is loud. And then in the background there's a train tooting its horn, and that is a fortissimo. I hope you guys had fun learning about dynamic markings. So from the very quietest, pianissimo, all the way up to fortissimo, the loudest. And then those, the crescendo and decrescendo. So try to remember all of those things. And I hope you guys have fun making that picture. So it could be anything that you think of as piano, forte, mezzo piano, mezzo forte. Like maybe you want to make a thunderstorm scene, and a thunderstorm will be maybe fortissimo for the thunder. Or maybe you want to make something with a big semi-truck driving down the street, and that would be maybe a forte. Or maybe even a fortissimo. I don't know, maybe the trucks are pretty loud, but maybe it has a car. That one's probably just a regular forte. Or maybe guitar playing, and that one would be maybe mezzo forte. So anything you guys can think of that explore the different levels of dynamics of loud and soft. So whatever you guys think of, get creative and make a dynamics picture and see what you come up with. Have a great week, you guys, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.